Do you ever feel a sudden wave of unease sweep over you when you're about to send an important email, but you can't quite name what you're feeling? That knot in your stomach, that shaky adrenaline, your mind is signaling something important, but without a clear label, it just hovers as vague anxiety. In today's video, we're unlocking a 5-minute toolkit drawn from cutting-edge psychology that teaches you how naming your emotions with precision can dissolve that fog of panic and give you back control. You'll learn why the simple act of identifying "I feel frustrated" or "I feel apprehensive" does far more to calm your nervous system than any breathing exercise alone. Imagine your emotions as colorful balloons. When they're unlabeled, you can't decide where to tether them, and they drift, tugging you this way and that. Labeling your feelings ties each balloon neatly down so you see exactly what's in the air and choose where it goes next. Psychologists call this skill emotional granularity, your brain's capacity to differentiate among shades of feeling rather than lumping them all into anxiety. In the first section, we'll explore 3 clear steps: tuning into the bodily cues that herald specific emotions, building a personal emotion vocabulary based on proven research in emotional granularity, and using a quick mental checklist to recalibrate your mindset in 5 minutes. Along the way, I'll guide you through a short practice you can do right now. No apps, no special tools, just your capacity for self-observation. By the end of this segment, you'll understand why pinpointing your emotional experience is the foundation of stress relief and greater self-awareness as we prepare to move from theory into action. Now it's time to tune into your own body as the first clue to what you're really feeling. Begin by pausing for just a few seconds and asking yourself, where do I feel tension or movement right now? You might sense a tightness in your chest, a flutter in your stomach, or a heaviness in your shoulders. Each physical sensation maps onto a different emotional state. For example, a clenched jaw often accompanies frustration, while a sinking feeling in your gut can hint at fear or dread. Think of these sensations as road signs on the highway of your mind. If you ignore them, you'll miss the exit toward clarity, but if you read them carefully, you'll arrive at an accurate emotional destination. Next, develop a simple checklist of common emotion words. Start with a core list of 10 labels like anxious, irritated, disappointed, and restless. Just as a painter selects from a palette of colors, you're choosing precise words to paint the true shade of your experience. When you feel that bodily signal, scan your mental checklist and pick the word that matches both the location and quality of your sensation. If your chest feels tight and you're tapping your foot, you might label that as impatience, rather than lumping it into vague stress. Naming the specific emotion not only gives you a clearer picture, it triggers a shift in your brain's threat detection circuitry, calming the amygdala and engaging the prefrontal cortex so you can think more clearly. Imagine holding a raw gemstone. Uncut, it's hard to see its brilliance. Once you label and examine it, the stone's facets catch the light. Finally, practice this simple exercise right now. Pause for 5 breaths. Note your primary physical sensation. Choose the closest word from your mental checklist and say it silently or out loud. In 5 minutes, you'll have transformed that amorphous anxiety into a concrete insight you can act on, setting the stage for the next steps in our emotional toolkit. Now that you've practiced tuning into your body and naming that first sensation, it's time to deepen your emotional toolkit by expanding your personal vocabulary. Researchers like Lisa Feldman Barrett have found that people who distinguish between closely related emotions, say irritated versus resentful, experience lower stress and greater emotional resilience because their brains can apply targeted coping strategies rather than a one-size-fits-all anxiety fix. Imagine your emotional awareness like the resolution on a photograph. Rare are the problems you can solve when the image is blurry, but when you crank up the clarity, every detail comes into focus. To build this emotional resolution, spend 2 minutes each morning drafting a mini emotion wheel. Draw a circle, divide it into 6 or 8 wedges, and fill each section with a specific emotion word you've recently experienced or want to understand better. Label one wedge frustration, another anticipation, another shame, and so on. Choose words that resonate with your life. Over the next few days, when you catch yourself feeling off balance, glance at your wheel and ask, which wedge am I in right now? This visual anchor not only reinforces the neural pathways that link sensation to label, but also trains your mind to anticipate and intercept emotional escalations before they spiral. By the end of this step, you'll have turned a vague cloud of discomfort into a map of clearly marked territories, guiding you toward precisely the practice, whether a grounding breath, a brief walk, or a reframing thought you need next. Once you've labeled your feeling and mapped it on your wheel, the next step is choosing the right mental tool from your personal toolkit. Think of emotions as different alerts on your phone. Some are high-priority crashes that need immediate rebooting. Others are gentle notifications you can postpone. Begin by asking yourself, what outcome do I want right now? If your label was frustration, you might need a quick reset. Try a focused breathing pattern where you inhale for 4 counts, hold for 2, and exhale for 6, repeating 5 times to soothe the tension in your chest. If the word was shame, you may need a kindness prompt. Silently acknowledge that everyone makes mistakes, then name one positive trait about yourself to counterbalance the self-criticism. For anticipation or excitement, channel that energy by standing up, stretching your arms overhead, and grounding your feet firmly for 30 seconds so you switch your brain from anxious what if to present moment what is. This is cognitive reappraisal in action, rewiring how your brain interprets that physical signal. To make this process automatic, create a simple 3-item mental checklist. Label, choose tool, take action. Practice this checklist twice today, during a coffee break or while waiting in line, and you'll train your neural pathways to move from autopilot anxiety to intentional response. Remember that these techniques aren't competing theories but pieces of the same puzzle. Awareness, vocabulary, and action combine to reshape how your brain processes stress. In the final section, we'll integrate these elements into a 5-minute ritual you can use anytime to transform that initial nebulous worry into clear steps toward calm and control. Now it's time to stitch everything together into a simple 5-minute ritual you can run anytime your mind feels like a tangled ball of yarn. First minute, pause and take 3 deep breaths, tuning into your body's most urgent signal. Notice where you feel that knot or flutter, as if you're scanning your inner radar for incoming alerts. Second minute, consult your mental checklist and label that sensation with the most precise word you can find. Restless, disappointed, anticipatory, or whatever fits, saying it silently or aloud as though you're naming a star in the sky. Third minute, visualize your personal emotion wheel and place that label in its rightful wedge, bringing clarity to the fog so you can see exactly what you're dealing with rather than wrestling with a shapeless anxiety monster. Fourth minute, choose the corresponding tool from your toolkit, whether it's a breathing pattern for physical tension, a kindness prompt for self-criticism, or a grounding movement for pent-up excitement, and commit to one clear action, like a breathing cycle, a single positive affirmation, or a 1-minute stretch. Fifth minute, reflect on what shifted. Note how your body feels now compared to the start, and set a mini intention for the next hour, such as, I'll take a break every 90 minutes, or I'll check in with myself before every meeting. This ritual brings together awareness, vocabulary, visualization, and action in a seamless flow, transforming chaotic emotion into a step-by-step plan for calm. Practice this sequence twice today, at your desk, in the car before you start your commute, or while waiting for your coffee, and you'll train your brain to reroute stress signals into mindful responses. Congratulations! You've just completed your first independent calibration of emotional granularity, a skill proven to boost resilience and self-understanding. In our final segment, we'll explore how to scale this practice into longer self-reflection sessions and weave it into your daily habits so that naming your emotions becomes as automatic as checking your phone, empowering you with a toolkit for better thinking every single day. To keep this 5-minute ritual from being a one-off trick and instead turn it into a lifelong skill, schedule brief emotion check moments throughout your week. Pick 2 consistent anchors, a morning coffee and a bedtime wind down, where you run through your 5-minute sequence and jot your labeled emotion in a simple journal or app. Over days, you'll begin to notice patterns. Certain tasks trigger restlessness, while other situations evoke resentment or anticipation. With that data in hand, you can preemptively choose coping tools, maybe a quick walk before a meeting that usually spawns apprehension, or a self-compassion note after a conversation that leaves you embarrassed. You can even set weekly reminders to review your emotion wheel, swapping out any labels that no longer fit and adding new ones as you grow. This process not only deepens your emotional granularity, but also weaves self-awareness into the fabric of your days, so naming your feelings becomes as automatic as checking your messages. Ultimately, by turning emotional labeling into a habit, you're not just reacting, you're designing a mind that knows itself and steers itself toward calm, clarity, and purpose. If you found this toolkit helpful, Hit like to let us know you're ready to upgrade your thinking, share this video to help others unlock their minds, and subscribe to Mind Unlocked for more science-backed strategies that turn complex ideas into practical steps toward a better you.